Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order for the Brawley City Council and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency. Our regular meeting for October 3rd at 6 p.m. And if we can have the roll call, please.
Yes, the minutes will reflect that all the council members are present.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the invocation, and it will be led by Councilmember Hamby. Please rise.
Let's bow our heads and pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we are so thankful to you this evening for your many blessings. Thank you for this beautiful time of the year. Thank you for the opportunity to gather together and work on guiding our city. We ask that you would give us wisdom and clarity this evening. We ask that you would keep your hand of protection upon our city, upon our loved ones. We ask for clarity and guidance and safety for our families and our loved ones. We ask that you would be present with us in this meeting this evening. I ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Councilmember Revelar, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and there is the agenda, and there was also an addendum. And prior to that, I would like to pull item 5J for discussion at a later time. So is there a motion to approve the agenda with the addendum pulling item 5J?
Oh, it's on the back.
Is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion as stated, removing item J from the regular business.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mayor Pro Tem Castro, was that an aye? Sir?
Yes, that was an aye.
Thank you. All right, motion carries. Thank you all very much. Next item on the agenda is the item 2, public appearances and comments not to exceed 4 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone. Please state your name for the record. You're not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. And is there anyone here who would like to make a public comment on any item not appearing on the agenda? There is, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Hello, council members. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Annie Huber, and I'm a resident of Brawley, a small business owner in Brawley, and most importantly, a concerned mom of boys that have been affected by the mismanagement of the Brawley Parks and Recreation Department. I've been speaking with council member Donnie Wharton regarding this issue, and I am hopeful that we can come to a resolution. I'm happy to say that since my post on social media and conversations with both Rachel and Donnie, measures have been taken to improve my personal situation. Since many of you are already aware of the details, I will make my comment short and to the point. This year, my kids were waitlisted to play soccer, even though I signed them up on the very first day. My husband was told that there was 4 teams and 60 kids, which was the maximum amount they were going to allow to play this year, and this is per age group. Since my oldest child is 5 years old and I'm new to the Brawley Parks and Recreation Department, I thought this was an oversight on their part, but quickly learned that this has been a yearly issue with little changes made under the current management. Over the past month, I have discussed this issue with other parents whose kids have not been able to play for the past 3 years due to the same issue. After weekly phone calls to the Parks and Recreation Department, me nor my husband were ever able to get through to or get a phone call back from the manager or from the city manager. Well, not until I made my social media post. If there is a demand for increased teams to accommodate more kids, couldn't the solution be better planning? Planning falls under the leadership realm. If you don't have a leader who's willing to or incapable of planning for increased demand, then maybe it's time for new leadership. Since Rachel and her team have been unable to utilize the data to determine the demand, I'll make it easy for you. My son goes to Witter Elementary School. There are 25 kids in his class and 4 kindergarten classes at his school. There are 4 main elementary schools in Brawley. If each school has roughly 100 kindergarten students, that equals 400 students total. 4 soccer teams with 60 kids total equals 15% of the kindergarten population that gets to play. However, keep in mind that my son's division is 4 and 5-year-olds, so that number is actually much smaller. We should be accommodating all kids from the city of Brawley, not the 15% that's able to make it to sign-ups first thing in the morning. I will conclude my statement by sharing that I have shared a document with Donnie that contains over 24 complaints from different parents regarding a negative experience they've had with the Parks and Recreation team. My goal of this statement is to bring awareness to some of the mismanagement that is happening at the Parks and Recreation Department in order for those responsible to be held accountable so we can do better next time around. My ultimate goal is for us all, the council, the Recreation Department, and the community, to work together to do better for Brawley youth and its programs. I will end by stating that my sons will be getting to participate in soccer this season, but my question for you is, what about all of the other age groups? What about the other kids who are still left on the waiting list? Please take action so this doesn't happen year after year.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a public comment at this time on any item not appearing on the agenda?
To the mayor, city council, city manager, and city attorney. Noise ordinance. My name is Carol Goss. It has been 10 months, today's date, since attending the first city council meeting. The Brawley PD made a report on the decimal reading at the last council meeting on September the 12th, 2023. We, as a group, were asked if we would let the police come to each of our apartments at the Cerdot Plaza, Brawley, to check the decimal readings. We all agreed. September the 12th, 2023, I was the only person kept the agreement. We were contacted by the sergeant from the Brawley PD to have access to our apartment on Saturday, September the 30th, 2023. The sergeant came to my apartment on Saturday at 10 p.m. I cooperated with him. He took decimal readings, did not see the readings of the decimals, asked what was the reading. He said he could not tell me. Why? Why I could not see the reading. On the machine, after all, I cooperated. Had I known I could not see it, I would have refused to let him in my apartment. Why is it a secret? The music was not a steady flow. It was up and down, like perhaps they knew what was going on. I am confused. Why should I cooperate when both parties are not cooperating? Could you please tell me, why should I cooperate? I have 2 questions. Number 1, how often do you revise the noise ordinance? Number 2, how long has it been since the noise ordinance has been revised? Dated this 3rd day of October 2023, respectively submitted, Carol Goss. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a public comment at this time on any item not appearing on the agenda? Any online comments? None. Seeing none. All right. Well, thank you for the public comments. We are going to move on the agenda, and that is for item 2B, presentation of Brawley City Council proclamation to proclaim October 8th through 14th, 2023 as Fire Prevention Week, presented by Mayor George A. Nava, Fire Chief Mike York. Chief York, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good evening, Mayor Nava, members of the council, city staff, and the public. It's my pleasure once again this year to announce that not only are we making a proclamation of Fire Prevention Week within the city of Brawley, but the Brawley Fire Department on Saturday, October 14th, will be conducting their annual open house that has returned. This will be the 2nd year since we had to cease operations for a little bit. Once again, Saturday, October 14th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at our fire station number 2, 1505 Jones Street, Brawley, California. We encourage all members of the public to come out and attend with us. There'll be refreshments. There'll be
Balloon animals?
there may be.
There may
this
be,
year,
maybe,
That's
maybe.
always a may,
Right.
depending on staff availability.
Right.
This is a brief slideshow
Okay.
of previous year's activities. We partner with a lot of the other stakeholders in the valley. Our air ambulance providers, Reach and Mercy. AMR for our ground transport providers. Brawley PD always shows and makes a presence. We're looking, the Burn Institute will also be there. Hopefully the American Red Cross. And it's just an opportunity for the public to come into our department, see our apparatus, meet our personnel, ask as many questions as they like. The children will participate in some fun activities, get a hot dog, have a nice Saturday morning.
Fantastic. Well, that's great.
Awesome.
And we have a proclamation designating October 8th through 14th, 2023 as Fire Prevention Week. I'll read it for the public's benefit and for your benefit, Chief. It's from the City of Brawley. Whereas the City of Brawley is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city. Whereas this fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes and are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. Whereas cooking is a leading cause of home fires in the United States. Whereas the City of Brawley residents should turn pot handles towards the back of the stove. Always keep a lid nearby when cooking. Keep a 3-foot kid-free zone around the stove, oven, and other things that could get hot. Watch what they heat and set a timer to remind them that they are cooking. Whereas the City of Brawley residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. Whereas the City of Brawley first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. Whereas the 2023 Fire Prevention Week theme, Cooking Safety Starts With You. Pay attention to fire prevention, effectively serves to remind us to stay alert and use caution when cooking to reduce the risk of kitchen fires. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, George A. Nava, Mayor of the City of Brawley, do hereby proclaim October 8th through 14th, 2023, as Fire Prevention Week throughout the city, and I urge all the people of the City of Brawley to check their kitchens for fire hazards and use safe cooking practices during Fire Prevention Week 2023, and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of City of Brawley Fire and Emergency Services. Signed by myself, Mayor of the City of Brawley. Congratulations, Chief, and this is for you.
Thank you very much.
And we hope the public can come out to the open house on the 14th
Yes, sir.
and enjoy themselves and bring the kids and have a good time.
And two things I'd like to iterate. One, to follow up on the proclamation. Recently, the Fire Chiefs Association meeting here in the Imperial Valley, the Burn Institute made a presentation. And unfortunately, here in our valley, very in time with the theme, unfortunately, the most common burn injury that we're seeing in our region is scalds from hot liquids, hot water. So it's very important to have this stovetop kitchen safety, making sure the children don't receive these injuries that are very horrendous and last a lifetime often with their scars. Secondly, I just want to really take the opportunity to thank and appreciate the materials that were presented this evening, and all of the planning regarding the open house was actually handled by Deputy Chief Juan Rodello, who unfortunately wasn't available tonight. So I just wanted to make sure he gets his recognition.
Well, thank you, Mr. Rodello, and all of the staff, because everybody participates. They're out there making sometimes balloon animals.
Yes.
That's always cool. But, but it's like serving hot dogs, getting the public out there, getting the kids out there to see the helicopters and the fire trucks and just, all the firefighters out there in uniform and all that sort of stuff. So it's just great experience for everybody. So we invite you out there. Thank you, Chief, and we're going to hand this over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Big round of applause for Chief. Yeah, let's take a picture. Come on. Let's take a picture, Chief. Please.
Distinguish all.
I'm not standing next to you. You're too tall. So,
That's what I was thinking. Foreign over here.
right here.
You can eat, sir.
Big smiles. We're trying. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right, Chief. Thank you.
really need me like a.
So October 14th, make it out there. What time does it start, Chief?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Good job, everybody. All right, well, thank you again. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
Motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is item 4, city manager report.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I have a few items. Before I bring the chief and I'm sorry. Sergeant Garcia, up for an update on where we are on the noise ordinance and what's been done since the last meeting. While they come up and prepare for that, I have a couple quick announcements. Community cleanup event is this October 7th at the refuse or dump area, as we do about semi-annually, 7 to 11 a.m. We'll be posting the details again on social media. And public service announcement, the Planning Commission meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow has been canceled due to lack of a quorum, and that will be rescheduled October 18th. And with that, Chief, floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Good evening, members of the council, city manager, and public. Jimmy Duran, Chief of Police, and I have Sergeant Garcia with me. He'll be handing over part of the report, or the PowerPoint that we have based on the report that he made.
Thank you.
So we did go out there, or actually Sergeant Garcia went out there personally to try to get the readings that we promised on the last meeting, made contact with the residents. But I'm going to allow Sergeant Garcia to speak on this, since he's the one that personally went out there. That way you hear it straight from the person that made the report and took the readings. So Sergeant Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I did go back there at the request of City Council. I did go in plain clothes to get further readings. I did speak to Ms. Carol Goss and to get permission to take the readings inside her apartment. I also spoke to the other 2 residents that were at the last City Council meeting. Ultimately, when the same day I spoke to Ms. Goss, they reluctantly did not want me to get the readings from their apartment. But Ms. Goss did proceed and didn't allow me to get the readings from her apartment. Now, when she did mention that I told her I couldn't provide her the readings, I wasn't trying to hold back. What I explained to her was, I have the readings, however, I can't tell you what they are because I won't know. There's just a range. I won't know until I download it onto the computer, and then that gives me an average of the range. That I did explain to her. Now, as you can see, I did get readings during the day as well as that evening at 8:05. The ones during the day were the day before on Friday, and those readings were obtained in the area Highway 111 and Wildcat, north curve of 600 Main Street, Highway 86 and Julia Drive, and the 300 block of Main. These were during the day. As you can see, Highway 111, the average was 85.7. If you look at the range, the high end of that was 92.3. That was with all the traffic coming and going. 600 block of Main, the average there was 56.9. On Highway 86 in Julia, the average there, the decibel readings was 82.7. And then on 300 block of Main, that was 69.2. That evening, I did go get additional readings. I got readings from the sidewalk in front of Ciudad Plaza. I also got readings from the parking lot, the north end of the parking lot, and then inside the Ciudad Plaza in the lobby area, which is an open area. Afterwards, I went, the 4th reading was done inside Ms. Carol Goss's apartment. And that reading I did get during our conversation while we were talking. I got those readings just to show the readings while we were having a conversation. And then the second reading I got was in silence where neither one of us was speaking. After that, I went to the north curve of Main Street directly across from Spot 805 and got the readings there. And then I went into Spot 805 and got readings inside as well. So the ones, number one, that's the north curve in front of Ciudad Plaza. That was 68.2, the average. The high end was 70.3. In the parking lot, the high was 67.3 with an average of 63.8. And then inside Ciudad Plaza, inside the lobby, the high was 48.4 and the average was 45.2. So as you can see, it was much lower. And then inside Ms. Goss's apartment, while we were speaking in our conversation, the high was 69.9 and with the average of 64.5. And then in silence was the high end 43.6 with an average of 40.2. And with that, I can say there was music being played. Actually, there was a live band at Spot 805 that evening. Afterwards, I went over to the north curve across from 805, and the average decibel reading was 79.7 in Spot 805. The high end was 90.4, and the average was 88.5. So you can see it was louder. This time it was louder than the previous readings, primarily because there was a live band playing. And their fluctuations of the music and so forth was up and down, but it was much louder than previous time.
Any questions? Well, something that we are going to do, we're going to make sure we get the readings from the previous report and these, and we're going to make sure that we submit them to the city manager and all council for review. Again, this was just a factual mission. We went and gathered as much information as we could in an unbiased manner, and I think we accomplished that. It seems that we got readings from inside the apartment as well, which are noted here in the report. And again, I hope that this helps the council make a better decision as far as the ordinance.
Thank you, Chief and Sergeant Garcia. This was an impromptu presentation. We had planned to bring it back next meeting, but we wanted to make sure the public knew that we weren't just sitting around doing anything, that we were following through with what council had asked us to. Thank you, Chief, for the last minute.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
All right, anything else on the city manager report?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll go on to regular business. And the item is 5A, discussion potential action to approve final parcel map PM 22-02, presented by Cynthia Mancha, our consultant city planner.
Good evening, Mayor Nava and council members. Tonight for your consideration for approval is a parcel map for a minor subdivision on the corner of B and C Street. The map as submitted, the final map as submitted is technically correct as reviewed by our consultant land surveyor, PLS NV5. There is a minor administrative item that needs to be taken care of before recordation, but the map is technically correct.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion by council?
Yeah, this is my first time through something like this. Could you explain it maybe a little bit more, just for my sake, as well as the public, this item in general?
Sure. So back in 2022, the applicant submitted a minor subdivision for subdividing the parcels at one. Technically, they were just moving property lines to create two parcels, and they ended up creating the parcels to the appropriate sizes consistent with the zone, and that will allow them to create either, it's zoned for residential use, and that went through a planning commission process back in December of 2022. The planning commission approved the tentative map, and at the time, the applicant has resubmitted their application for approval by this council, their final map, and the final map gets reviewed with our land surveyor and gets signed off by a professional land surveyor and gets recorded with the County of Imperial, making those parcels usable and sellable for individual properties. Go ahead. Is that sufficient?
I got it.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, so there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item B, 5B. Discussion potential action to approve professional services agreement amendment with Rick Engineering Company for continued work on an updated service area plan contract amendment for a not to exceed amount of $38,500 and request city manager given authorization to execute agreement presented by Thomas Garcia, assistant to the city manager.
Good
Mr.
evening,
Garcia.
Mayor, esteemed council members. Yes, as the council will recall, they previously approved a contract with Rick Engineering. This is related to the Rancho Los Lagos annexation project that's being worked on by a developer. So Rick Engineering was brought on to assist the city with the service area plan. As the project has moved forward and some of the newer studies, some additional work needs to be done there. We've also added a couple of other tasks to their scope of work. So we're asking for an amendment and a renewal of the contract as the initial contract has expired.
Very well.
And again, the cost of this will be borne from the developer.
Correct. All right, is there a motion to approve this item?
A motion to approve this item.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All right, any further discussion by council?
Just one comment, Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
Next meeting, we'll have a update on where we are in the potential annexation with Rancho Los Lagos. A developer would be here making a presentation along with some of our consulting staff.
Thank you. All right, any comments, questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is item C. And that is discussion potential action to adopt resolution 2023-29 and approve ordinance 2023-02, first reading to modify the existing contract with the California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS, presented by Shirley Bonillas, Human Resources Risk Management Administrator.
Hello,
Shirley,
Mayor,
how are you?
council members, audience, Shirley Bonillas, HR Administrator. Before you tonight is a contract amendment with our retirement system, CalPERS. We have experienced and have enjoyed a 1,000-hour rule exemption since our inception with CalPERS. What that means is that when an employee is hired temporarily, not a permanent employee, but temporarily, we don't have to count how many hours they're working for us each fiscal year. The rule is, if we didn't have an exception to that rule, is that once they reach 1,000 hours worked with us in a fiscal year, they would have to be added into the retirement system. We have found out recently, now we've been challenged on this a few times, and we successfully came out of it. In 2019, there was a government code I was not aware of that prohibits us from putting public safety in a temporary status. So we had hired reserve firefighters, put them on shift to help man Station 2. And that's where CalPERS got us. So unfortunately, we have been asked to validate this. We've done our best. And at this juncture, it is in the best interest of the city of Brawley at this time to have that contract amendment done to eliminate that exemption. What we were able to do going forward, though, was to look at library, because we have 3 part-time, 4 positions, 3 titles that work about 20, 25 hours a week. And we sought an exclusion for those positions. We were successful on 2, not successful on the part-time supervisory clerk. So in other words, we don't have to count their hours. Now, this is the first reading of the ordinance, and it would be a passing of this resolution that is being requested tonight from you. There will be a second reading of the ordinance. By CalPERS rules, it can't be done within 20 days of the first reading. So we're looking at the first meeting in November for the second reading. And then it's 30 days from that point is when this contract amendment would take place. That means the hourly exclusion exemption we've been experiencing will be gone. From that point, it's roughly December 8th, if my calendar and my mind remembers correctly, that we would have to start counting. So we don't have to look back to July 1st on our temporary staff. We go forward from that date forward and counting hours worked. Of course, if I'm able to answer any of your questions, I'll be happy to.
CalPERS, how do you feel about CalPERS, everybody? Please.
No comment.
Right.
Hard to keep up.
So I'll just add, budget-wise, we anticipating losing this round, even though we were successful multiple times with our arguments. So in the budget, while it doesn't help, but it is already planned for in the budget this year, as far as it relates to permanent firefighter positions.
We have budgeted in the past 2 temporary full-times in the Parks and Rec Department to parks maintenance workers. We always have cattle call help for cattle call prep, and they're usually hired in August, and they stay with us till about December, unless we have a business need because we've had somebody out on medical for a prolonged period of time. So it will affect us on counting every hour worked on any temporary employee hired as temporary. Doesn't count for permanent staff because they immediately go into CalPERS from the date of hire.
All right, so hearing that, is there a motion to approve this, and to adopt this resolution and approve the ordinance?
Yes, for clarification, first reading of the ordinance and the
Passing
approval
of
of
the
the resolution.
Mm-hmm. So move. There's a motion, reluctant motion, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Is there a reluctant second?
Second.
I'll second.
All right,
Wait,
there
wait,
was-
who did what?
He was a second here.
You're fast, you're much faster, that's why. All
He
right.
wasn't as reluctant on his
So I was
second.
trying to help out.
All right, thank you. There's a motion and a second for the potential action to adopt the resolution and approve the ordinance modifying the existing contract. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shirley, thank you for your work on this. It's been off and on for 4 years.
All right, this next item is item D. Discussion and potential action to approve the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Brawley's request related to the City of Brawley Catacall Annual Event. Chamber request for the following actions. Approval of the closure of Main Street between North and South Plaza Park and select intersections. Approved to waive all fees associated with street closures for event. And then approved to allow the sale of alcohol during the event. Presented by Rachel Fonseca, Parks and Recreation Manager.
Good evening, members of the council. Rachel Fonseca, Parks and Rec Manager. So this is a request to hold Catacall festivities. It's the same request as last year to close streets, waive fees, and a permission to serve alcohol. And Ramiro from the chamber is here for any questions that council may have.
All right.
Can you give us a quick description of how the alcohol sales are gonna work this time? I know that we had some issues around the way it was organized in the past, just for clarification, so the audience or everyone is aware of how it's going to go down.
Ramiro?
I mean, I want to know. I'll be out there.
Good evening, council. We actually met with ABC office out of Palm Springs, and we kind of got a clarification on the maps on how to submit them. So I believe on the maps, instead of being labeled as a beer garden, it's more of a pouring station with the whole plaza being open to drinking. I just do want to add that I know that we've talked about issues in the past of business owners that felt that we weren't including them. So in order to address that, we started meeting with a lot of these business owners back in July. We reached pretty good agreements with most of them. We're also offering any business owner that's affected by the street closures in that area a free booth during cattle call events, so they feel included, and if they can potentially make any money out there or just promote themselves.
Yeah.
So that's just a way for us to continue helping out. We also have our cattle call mixer on in front of one of our business owners that in the past was affected by events. So all those booths for the mixer will also be free of charge for our Brawley business owners. So the requirement there is that you have to have a valid business license in the city of Brawley. The booth is free of charge. So that's just, continuing our efforts to make sure that our business owners are not being hurt by our cattle call events, but they're also they're being included.
Very well. And prior to that, I do want to thank you for that, because these are the biggest events of our community. So it's important that, not just the businesses are helped, but the community come out there and support them as well. So thank you. Chief?
Ramiro, I just have one question before you disappear. You did mention, you said most of the business. I just want to make sure there isn't one outstanding or issue that you've run into in coordination with.
No, so we actually had staff walk around with letters letting them know what the street closures would look like back in July. Letting them know if they were going to be affected by the street closures or if they wanted to participate and they felt maybe they weren't going to be firsthand affected, but they wanted to feel included into the event. Some of them were like Sophia's Kitchen that, opened up in about 6 months ago, their new location. Inferno, we've had talks with Spot 805. So some of them just to see if they want to feel included into the event. So the ones that have reached out, we've definitely tried to work with them. But the ones that haven't, we sent a second notice, I believe about 2 weeks ago, hand delivered by our staff, just letting them know, feel free to reach out. So we still have some of those vendor booths available, so we're still going to be able to accommodate them for cattle call.
Very good. Very well. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I'm sorry, I apologize, Chief. I just want to thank you publicly for your leadership and the hard work you put into this. Obviously, you've heard our complaints go back and forth over the years, and you've gone a long way and made a lot of changes that I think are beneficial to the communities. Very important to us. So thank you. I appreciate it.
No, and I want to appreciate all the city council. I know a lot of the times when we talk about these cattle call events, the magnitude, I think we felt it during COVID when we couldn't have cattle call and everybody was wanting us to bring them back. The main reason we do these is for the community. They're free of charge events. Just the insurance for the chamber to be able to hold these events this year is about $18,000 for us to be able to have these events. And I want to thank PD and all the city staff, Parks and Rec, Public Works, everybody that kind of lends a handout for us to be able to have these events successfully every year. Not only successfully but safely. So thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Castro was just embarrassed to ask, but he wanted to see if he can buy his drink tickets in advance. So
yeah, I mean, I hate waiting in line, and
that was his question.
I usually get bullied and pushed to the back, so and I got to call George to come back in. Got to call the mayor.
I'm kidding. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm good now. No. I just wanted to address public safety really quick. We are changing the method in which we are serving alcohol. So we had a conversation with Ramiro and the business around, and I know last time some people voiced that it was necessary to do it differently. So with that said, we're going to do it differently. We believe we do have more staff this year. We did get some grants to do DUIs checkpoints. So keeping public safety in mind, that's going to be our approach. We're going to try and make sure that everybody has a good time, but yet we're going to be safe. So we are going to be in full enforcement those days to ensure that the public is safe. Because there's concerns from some members of the public that potentially this could lead to more DUIs. And of course, we're trying to be responsive to the needs of the community and their requests. So just wanted the council to know that.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
All right. So there's a motion. Is there a motion yet? Have we made that yet?
We have a motion to approve this item. Oh, we're not done with questions?
Huh?
Sorry.
All right. So is there a motion to approve the item?
I'll motion to approve item.
All right.
Go ahead.
There's two, we separated them.
That's right, we did. That's right.
All right, so what, item 5,
No, with respect to item D, I would like to separate it.
D1
If there
and
could
D2.
be a motion, and we'll keep the alcohol sales during the event separate, please. Is there a motion to approve the closures and waive the fees?
motion to approve item 5D, closures and fees.
Is there a second to that motion? There's a second. All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any
Motion
opposed? Go ahead.
motion to approve item 5D to approve the sale of alcohol during the event.
There's a motion to approve the sale of alcohol during the event. Is there a second?
Well, second.
There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
All right. Thank you very much. Next item. Next item is E, discussion potential action to approve the street closure for St. Margaret Mary's Church. Gedmes event, request to close Leonard Street between South Cesar Chavez Street and South Adams Street alleyway from 10 to 8. This used to be done just by staff. Now it's here on the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the item.
I'll second.
There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, thank you, is discussion potential action to approve the purchase of SCBA compressor for an amount of $79,225.43, presented by Michael York, Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mayor Nava and City Council. Tonight I bring to you a request for the purchase of an SCBA, otherwise known as our air packs that our firefighters wear in fires and hazardous materials conditions. Our current compressor that we've had for approximately 20 years, the company that produced that has been purchased by another company, and those products are no longer supported. So our current compressor is on end of life cycle. If a proprietary component fails, we are no longer able to purchase parts for it. Obviously, this is a very key part of the role that we play. We cannot fight fires without those air packs, and we need to refill those air packs with the compressor. As you can imagine, we're compressing normal breathing air to a very high pressure, as well as when it's doing it, these compressors monitor it to ensure that no gases like carbon monoxide get pushed in there and pose potential hazard to our firefighters. We reached out to several vendors. 2 of them returned bids. This is the lowest bid, as well as being, I think, more appropriate for the facility, which is going to be installed at Fire Station number 2.
Fantastic. All right. Is there a motion to approve the item?
Also move.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, next item, discussion potential action to approve contract change order number 1 to contract number 2020-02 Legion Street improvements from Highway 86 to Western Avenue for $36,910.88 and authorize the city manager to execute all documentation, presented by Ron Medina, MPA, Director of Public Works, Operations and Maintenance. Sir.
Thank you, Mayor Nava.
All right.
Council members, members of the public. Yeah, this item is on here as authorize a contract change order in the amount of $95,571.80. This is Western Avenue projects.
Hold on, we're on G. We're on 36,000.
36.
Yes.
Wrong street.
He was trying to slip in an extra 60 grand.
Rob, don't be spending more money.
Yeah, he was trying to slip in a 60 grand bill, huh?
Okay. Yeah,
I had
this
a joke
30
for that, but I'm not going to.
$36,910.88. So, we ran into some additional work that wasn't part of the contract, and that's a staff report that was provided. There was some, let's see. Yeah, there was some additional work that was required for the installation of the streetlights and transformers that were not part of the original cost estimate. And so the IID asked that we add 2 more transformers onto that project. And so that brought the amount to $36,910 over the contract amount. And I'll let you know that the change order is in the amount of 3.5%, which is significantly lower than a standard 10% amount of change order. This project also came in over budget or at budget. Therefore, there wasn't any contingency funds left in the budget.
All right. That's the explanation. Is there a motion to approve the item?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the $95,000 one. All right. Discussion potential action to approve contract change order number 1 to contract number 2020-03 Western Avenue Improvements Project between Wildcat Drive and Legion Street for $95,571.80 and authorize the city manager to execute all documentation. All right. Concerning this project, presented by Ron Medina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and members of the public. Yeah, this is the change order I was alluding to earlier, $95,571.80. And this is similar to the prior project in the sense that the bid, it actually was awarded at contract amount. There were no contingencies as part of that, and therefore that's why this change order is forthcoming. The amount is less than 5%. And both of these projects, including the last one, there are no future change orders forthcoming. This should
This is
close
it.
out the project.
Oh, they're almost complete, so great.
And-
All right, thank you.
And these funds are also coming from Measure D.
Thank you. A motion to approve the item?
I'll just make a quick comment. Just say real quick what a pleasure it is to have you here, Ron. I like seeing you here. It's always good, the work that you're doing. I did take the time to thank the folks responsible for, opening up your services, I guess. I was up in Sacramento and
Oh, my God.
and I did that. So I just wanted you to know that it's a pleasure to have you here.
I love being here, so thank you.
Oh, this guy, all right.
The feeling's mutual.
Right?
Motion to approve,
right.
item 5,
I'll second.
G.
Motion and a second.
Sorry,
All
that's
those-
item 5H.
Blushing?
Motion and a second.
Are you blushing?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. It's great having you. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, next item is
You feel the
5I.
same way?
Stop signs.
Right. And so this is just a quick recap. These are the stop signs and four-way stops, three-way stops, et cetera, that we had considered approving based on the committee's findings. And so these are some of the complaints that we had received with respect to traffic and accidents and stuff. So this is discussion, potential action to pass and adopt the following resolution and ordinances. Resolution 2023-30, establishing installation of three-way stop signs at the intersections of Dogwood Road and Wildcat Avenue. That's the resolution. Ordinance number 2023-03, first reading, establishing installation of four-way stop signs at the intersections of K Street with 3rd Street. Next is ordinance 2023-04, first reading, establishing installation of three-way stop signs at the intersections of Dogwood Road and Wildcat Avenue. So this is presented by Ron Medina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and members of the public. As the mayor expressed, this is a resolution establishing a stop sign at Dogwood Road and Wildcat, which is a new road, and it will be open temporarily as a two-lane road, waiting for the complete construction of the four-lane road. The second one is establishing I take that back. It was a three-way stop sign at Dogwood and Wildcat. And there'll be a four-way stop sign at 3rd and K. And you do have a schematic drawing in your information and also the cost estimate. The Dogwood and Wildcat three-way stop sign would be installed by the developer, so there's no cost to the city. And it would be $3,000 for the signs and markings that will be installed on 3rd and K Street. And that would be installed by city staff. And we would only be installing 2 stop signs, because there's 2 already on the crossroad at front 3rd Street.
Very well.
And Mr. Mayor, the reason for the redundancy, the resolution and the ordinance, is ordinances don't take effect till 30 days after their second reading. The resolution can take effect immediately. That way you can open the Dogwood whenever it's ready.
Fantastic. Thank you for that clarification and for the public's benefit, because that's almost ready and we're excited about it, so.
And just to let you know, we will start public noticing tomorrow after tonight's council meeting that there is a stop sign forthcoming to alert the public.
Fantastic. Is there a motion to approve the items, and adopt the following resolution and ordinances?
A motion approved.
There is a motion? I'm sorry, who made that? All right. Councilmember Robert.
And second.
Fantastic. A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It's unanimous. Do we need a roll call or anything? No?
No.
That's just good. All right, thank you.
These are routine stop sign ordinances.
Perfect. All right.
Thank you.
Routine.
Routine.
Stop it already. All right. Here we go. Informational reports, monthly staffing reports for October 23 and back up.
We have that item 5.
Oh, my apologies. I'm going to the
5J.
addendum.
K.
My apologies. 5K, discussion potential action to approve the Best Road Sewer Line Study to be conducted by Lee Rowe Water Infrastructure Engineers. The cost of study to be paid by the developer of the area project, presented by Ron Medina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, and members of the public. Yeah, we do have some revisions to this, to the staff report and actually to the action item. The item will be funded by the wastewater fund, and that will be a change at the fiscal impact under the staff report. Account number 511-332 22.00-730.100. And the reason for that is you actually pulled the prior item 5J. We were unable to confirm the apportionment from the developer. We did locate these funds under the reserves under this account. It is essential that this city move forward with this study. A lot of development on the eastern boundary of this city is predicated on this study. And if the sooner we get this study completed, we can complete the permanent either expansion of the existing best line sewer line or an additional parallel line. So,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
It's important that we move this study along because we want to take advantage of some potential grant funding through SCAG for the capital improvements at that area where we're getting a lot of interest for future
Right.
development.
And there's not only that, but maybe USDA, there's other things as well, so fantastic. All right, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Fantastic. Motion to approve, is there a second?
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Just for clarification, this is a budget adjustment
Yeah.
because it wasn't in the original budget.
All right. Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
thank you.
All right, next, we are moving on to information reports. They're in your backup for any questions. Feel free to ask. But we'll move on to city council member reports, and we'll start with Councilmember Hamby.
Thank you, Mayor Nava. Just a few things to report. I was able to attend a ribbon cutting for the new 413 gym here in Brawley, and was well attended. Looks like a nice facility. Had several discussions with different stakeholders and groups regarding AB 918 and NCUP forthcoming. I've been around the city a lot and seen a lot of our city employees working hard to prepare the city for cattle call. But in general, there's just, as the weather cools off, there's a lot more work that can be done without killing people. So just very thankful to be in this part of the year and seeing all that activity and talking with the city manager. There's just, it seems like endless work. And, projects coming in at a faster rate than they were before. So just hoping for the best for all of those projects. So thank you.
Good job. I think that's all our goal is to do our very best without killing people.
That's true.
Good,
That's
So
true.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Councilmember Reveler?
Yeah, no, real quick.
Just making them a bigger.
I know I have some of the media here, and I only bring this up 'cause I know it was brought up, a concern to some of my fellow council members, but when I do put out press releases, it's not from the city, it's from my own office, my own personal account. So, like I said, I only bring that up because there was some confusion and there was a point of concern with some of my councilmen, and so I just want to clear that up. And for redundancy's sake, in future press releases I do put out, there'll be a disclaimer. But I won't share too much regarding some of the recent actions. Recently, I don't want to steal the thunder from two of my fellow councilmen that were also in attendance, but I did attend for the first time the League of California Cities Conference in Sacramento. There I had the incredible opportunity to network with other elected officials, but most importantly, really network with city administrators from not just our neighboring cities, but across the state. Our exchanges of knowledge and experiences will undoubtedly serve to shape and enhance our strategies for Brawley's growth and governance. Last week, I was invited to attend the Mobility 21 Summit in Anaheim, another great event to experience, where I was able to connect with officials, including the State Secretary of Transportation and Chair of the Transportation Commission, and further build these bridges between our city, valley, and the state on both the personal and professional level. It's interesting because, I know locally, depending on who you speak with, there are some doubts, understandably, regarding Lithium Valley and the development surrounding that and renewable energy. But I do feel like it's these events outside county limits where there does seem to be a buzz around lithium extraction and the renewable energy developments happening mainly in the north end of our valley. These discussions on sustainable energy solutions not only eliminate the path towards a greener future for our cities, but also spotlight potential avenues for economic development and job creation for our city and our collective north end communities. Speaking of community, I did fill in for Councilman Hamby at the recent library board meeting. The dedication and passion for our public libraries among those ladies on the board is clearly evident, to say the least, and I look forward to how we can promote the use of both libraries, both across the street on the east side at the Del Rio branch, just to ensure they are both being utilized to their fullest potential. Furthermore, there was a lively discussion earlier today at the Board of Supervisors meetings surrounding political signs. I don't know if there's interest among this council in agendizing a discussion around amending our city's political sign ordinance. Our ordinance currently allows signs to be put up within city limits 100 days before an election, and many cities locally and around the state have reduced that number. Whether it's 60 or 90 days, I believe our neighborhoods deserve to be uncluttered while still providing opportunity for political expression. The example given by coincidentally a Brawley resident earlier this morning is that although our city elections will be taking place in November, with countywide elections in March, there's a possibility with our current ordinance that signage will be on display during the Christmas holiday. I don't know about you, but I don't want to see vote for me and accompanying faces this holiday season. In conclusion, it brings me great pleasure to extend an invitation to each of you and the community to join me and the Hidalgo Society's Dia de la Raza event on Saturday, October 14th. Shout out to Audrey Camacho, Christy Perez, and Supervisor Ryan Kelly for recognitions and contributions to our community. It's honored to be recognized as Hispanic of the Year, an award previously bestowed upon a fellow council member and my dad. My dad, Gabe Rebelar, a man many of you are familiar with, is a man who has demonstrated his profound love for our community. Whereas I'm trying to bring change through politics and nice suits, his service to the community comes through straight up hard work, dedication, and Birkenstock sandals. His example continuously inspires me to work for our Brawley. So let's celebrate our rich heritage, unity, and community spirit at this event, and I look forward to sharing more. And if you've seen me speak at events, know I will say what I really feel. So I hope to see you all there. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Congratulations. Councilmember Wharton.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and thank you. I know we came out of a little bit of being dark in a special meeting and then being dark again. So glad to have everyone back from the big conference. I did not attend, but the work always continues with the city, as we often say. So just quickly fielded many citizen issues, some of which were spoken about today, referencing our Parks and Rec. And again, I think what we heard is resolution was met today, so it's always good to see that, when you get the input from the public, that we can come to at least a short-term resolution. And, I'll just, leave it at that and my appreciation for that being fixed. So thank you to staff and our team and everyone that made that happen. Also, 918 continues to be obviously a big topic, not one that's probably going to go away pretty quickly, but certainly have been engaged in that in numerous stakeholder conversations, all forms of media that I've been involved in, north, south, east, west, all ends of the valley. So I think it's one thing that's inescapable. This is not a north-south. This is very much a we valley thing. As we know, it's often written about, but those conversations actually, continue, and there's a lot of parts and pieces. I don't have something specific at this juncture that I can really share that I know of that hasn't already been discussed in the public forum, but certainly engaged, and I think that's going to continue. Couple last items. I'm still going to keep this a little bit anonymous in protection of the new business, but I do think there's some exciting movement going on at the airport, and I'll just leave it at that. I think I mentioned that a few meetings ago, and hopefully we'll have something that, a little bit more specific, that could be talked about. But there's also ongoing discussion there that the Airport Commission's been discussing for many, many years now of additional improvements, executive hangars. It's not a new topic. Anyone that's engaged with the airport knows that's not new, but there might be some renewed opportunity there that could be coming our way. So again, aside from what I just referenced, that might be another discussion. I didn't mention the noise ordinance, and again, I appreciate the chief and the PD for collecting, I think, very valuable data that will help this council kind of potentially proceed forward with that. And I will, I think I've already mentioned this, make the suggestion that if it does come back and we can get it back as a discussion item, maybe not a decision, but a discussion item on how we as council would like to proceed, I might make that recommendation if the mayor's okay with that at a future council meeting, and then we can have that open discussion on how we want to proceed with any amendments or changes that we might consider. Outside of that, ICSO barbecue, thank you for all those that supported. I see that as a valley-wide thing, and certainly a lot of supporters here and barbecue lovers here in Brawley. So I know it was another success, and appreciate all the volunteer services that are associated with that. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Castro.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Nava. I apologize, I said I was gonna defer to the next meeting, but I'll just go ahead and give my report now. First off, let me start by congratulating Councilmember Revelar for his recognition as Hispanic of the Year. I've received many recognitions over the years, Veteran of the Year, Martin Luther King Jr. Award or recognition or whatever they call it. And the Hispanic of the Year, and that's certainly one that I'm not very comfortable with the title because since I was a young man and in the Marine Corps, I've always fought to be recognized simply as an American. But when you recognize this recognition from the adult society, it's important because that reminds us that we didn't forget where we came from, right? Whether we made it out of the projects, whether we're making a little more money now, we continue to support our community, continue to do the things that we're supposed to do. When we advance, we don't just move up and move out, right? We can't forget about where we came from and continue to help others climb out of that situation and on to better places, right? And I remember the examples that I received as a young man playing football, Pop Warner, and I can't think of the name right now, but it was a family. And I'll repeat the story everywhere I go because I think it's important and how this matters and how we are a community in Brawley and how we take care of each other and how we help each other out. But it was a white family from the west side of town that took me up one day, drove me out to Poway to play football, brought me back, and we stopped to get a burger in Pine Valley. And I didn't have any money, so I said I was going to sit, I wasn't going to eat. And they treated me to lunch, but besides that, they treated me kindly with respect and taught me that there was a way out and that I didn't always have to settle for what I had in front of me. So I'll remember their names eventually, I'm sure. But I'm very thankful to them because it's community, and that's what it's about. And when I received that recognition in 2020, I just thought, hey, I didn't forget where I came from and continue to do what we're supposed to do. Besides that, again, congratulations and congratulations to all those other folks that are being recognized. We went out to the League of Cities annual conference in Sacramento along with Mayor Nava and Councilmember Revelar and our city manager, Mr. Salcido. And always pleasant. I'm never surprised. It's pleasant. It's a pleasure to see the work that our city manager does at all these conferences and everywhere he goes on. Since the time that I went a couple of years ago and this time around, all that I look for, and I spend more time in the expo floor looking at ways, technology or anything that's out there that we could use that could benefit our city, not just to improve services, but also save us money along the way. And everything that I pointed out, this gentleman here had already met with them, I had discussions with them and asked how everything applies and how we can make it work for our city. So I appreciate that, Tyler, always working hard. And again, a lot of stuff up there that we can look at and that obviously I hope we can bring back to our city. Moving on from that, I'd like to recognize Patricia Ochoa, who is in the audience here today. She is, what is the correct title?
No, they made me.
They made her. You were voluntold.
IBUSA Brawley, for the city of Brawley, I'm a representative of the parents.
Yes, IBUSA Kids Soccer League, Brawley representative, voluntold. I already got in trouble with her, by the way, a couple of weeks ago for I guess starting stuff up at the soccer game. So I wasn't. They just accused me of it. It's easy to get accused of stuff when you're an elected official. I knew you would say that. I didn't do anything. I promise. I was on my best behavior. I can't always stay quiet. Anyways, thank you for coming in, Patricia. Patricia has discussed with me over the last couple of weeks some of the issues that we're facing as far as access to our parks and lights. And I know that our Parks and Rec Director, Rachel, is working very hard. We know that we have limited resources, limited parks. So with that said, I would like to bring up the issue is that we perhaps need to take a look at this as sports continue to grow and our kids are out there and getting active, especially as we get further away from, COVID and now, sports increasing and kids being active. Again, sorry, I'm repeating myself. I'd like to see and perhaps take a look at going forward, increasing our green spaces and not necessarily like, swings or anything like that, just green spaces with lighting where our kids can go out and play, whether they, kick a ball around or playing some softball or something like that. I think it's time to start having that discussion because it's not fair. I don't think it's fair that we pin it on all on our Parks and Recs director. I think that we do have limited resources, and I think we do need to make an effort to increase those resources, one way or another, whether it be through grants or maybe perhaps setting aside a little more of the budget. I know it's tough, Tyler. I know it's tough, but that is something that there's great demand, a lot of calls, a lot of complaints. We hope that this particular matter with the IVUSA can get resolved, but going forward, and I just don't think of, while my kid is playing soccer, but going forward the next 10, 20, 30 years, any land extra that we can possibly use for green spaces, let's take a look at it and see how we can do it, even through a volunteer basis. I don't care. We'll figure it out, but let's do that. Besides that, that's it, man. I covered it all. Sorry.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Castro. Thank you all the council members. Congratulations, Councilmember Reveler, on your recognition. All right, quick update and some final comments on my behalf. So League of Cities was able to attend, been there many times. I've always appreciated that. I think that's a time where, for me as a council member, I gained most from it, from not just the exposition, because there's organizations, consultants, companies there that will help us improve as a community. So that was great. And also was able to network with my fellow council members and other council members from throughout the valley, so it's important. Also had the opportunity to update at the luncheon for the Imperial County Association of Realtors. I provided a City of Brawley update with respect to development and the things that are happening within the city. So I made some changes to my mayor's presentation and really included more of the business development and Lithium Valley and the opportunities within that. And prior to going to that luncheon the other day, I was able to tour with Laura Vandewey the Indie Dwell building. I'll tell you, it's large and it's, I'm hoping that it's productive and there's great opportunity out there. So it was great to see that that's moving forward, and hopefully soon they have a ribbon cutting and starting to employ people and getting that in motion. So that, and of course, fielding calls, complaints, and other things. I just want to make a comment, and this is on my behalf as a longtime council member for the city of Brawley. I would say this: we're all here because we serve our community. Whether we are here as elected officials, whether you're here as staff, we're all public servants, And I do feel like we work really hard, and we try hard to respect the public, but I also call out the public and have them respect staff and have them respect council. Because I know that recently there's been some very disparaging remarks said about staff members, department heads, managers within the city, and they're uncalled for because we are here as elected officials. The public can always, always, always reach out to us, and we're always available for that conversation, whether it's difficult, whether it's uncomfortable, whatever that is, right? And so I ask the public to have patience and be graceful in their commentary and in their criticism, because we are faced with constraints. We have 19 parks. How many parks and recreation staff do we have? Less than 10? So we're doing all of that. We're serving 27,000 plus people, and we're doing all of that work with limited staff, limited resources. And it's not fair, and I hate to use the word fair because I hate using that word, but it really isn't fair when people are attacked, they're criticized for doing the work that we have to do as a collective unit. We're all responsible for the city, whether it's the police department, fire department, public works, council members, city manager, city attorney, whoever. We all work hard, and we're all doing our part to make this a better community. And I would just ask the public to be graceful in addressing their concerns. I have yet to see a time that I've been on council where we can't resolve an issue. With a conversation, with some discussion, things get resolved. That's why we're here. You know, I've never not seen this council or other councils or city staff not address a concern. You know, maybe it takes time to address them, or maybe there's a real reason for things not working out. And once it's explained, things are clarified, right? So I do want to thank all of staff, all of you, each and every one of you. I want to thank my fellow council members because each of us represent people differently. We work differently. We think differently, you know, but collectively we are the city council. And so I want to thank the council. I want to thank city staff for the work that you're doing. Our city manager is under a tremendous amount of pressure as well, you know, and he's having to deal with issues on weekends. And quite honestly, we are human beings. People lose sleep over the comments. They lose sleep over the concerns. They are not just forgetting these things. These are human beings. These are people that you live with, that you work with. These are somebody's spouse, somebody's, you know, father, somebody's brother, somebody's friend, somebody's coworker. Let's be respectful of one another as a community. Let's be respectful as one another as fellow staff members, and let's please work together as a community. It's really, really important. And that's all I'll say on that. I think it's long-winded, but I think it needs to be said because there's some really tough comments out there, and you have to understand we are all human beings. We all have feelings, we all have families, we all have friends, and we all face criticism, embarrassment, and everything else just the same way. And I don't think it's fair to do that to anybody. If you have something to say it to them. If you have something to tell us, talk to us. There's nothing wrong with having that conversation. That's a tough conversation, and we've had them. We have had them with the public. And I'm not afraid to talk to anybody or discuss an issue because I know that there's a resolution. So everybody, please, let's take a deep breath. Let's be kind to one another. Let's be respectful. And let's try to make things work for this community. So thank you all very much for listening to that long comment, but I appreciate every single one of you. I really, truly do. And I want everybody to know that I support you, and I hope we all support one another. Thank you. All right. So, City Attorney's report.
Very briefly, received some complaints about overgrown weeds on the 1600 block of I Street. We filed a code enforcement complaint against the owner. We're trying to find the owner to serve the complaint. Received some complaints about the bike lane over on K Street, and we're looking into that. And I'll be talking to the school district about that, and I'm sure it'll get resolved. And then we have very brief closed session.
Very well. Thank you very much. All right. Well, we're going to go into closed session, everybody. Thank you again for attending and for your participation. Thank you.